So why are chord tones important? You know, a lot of bassists, the stereotype is that we always play the root. Now, playing the root works in certain times and genres, but it's very important to kind of come out of that. So for example, if I'm playing in a jazz setting, if I'm playing a walking bass line, playing just the root really won't cut it. So if I'm playing in a B-flat blues and I'm only playing the root, it's going to sound like this. Bass stereotypes. So if you want to make your lines a lot more interesting, you really have to discover your chord tones. A super common question that bass players ask is, how do I create my own lines when I'm given changes? So if you're in a jam session or in a jazz setting and you're given chords, how do you make your own lines? Now you can memorize lines all you want, there's infinitely many lines out there, but I want to give you a set of tools, like a catalyst to create your own lines. So if we're in a super common progression like a B-flat blues, so that'll be B-flat 7, E-flat 7, and F7, how do we create lines? The most basic thing to do is use what are called chord tones. Now each of these chords has, in the most basic way, they have a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7. Now in B-flat 7, that's this one, that's the 1, that's the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. And E-flat 7, very similar shape, except starting on E-flat obviously. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and likewise with F7, 1, 3, 5, 7. Now knowing these, we can start creating a line. I'm going to use a walking bass line like in a jazz setting because they utilize a lot of technique, good techniques, and they're pretty straightforward to get around. So if I were to do a walking bass line just using 1, 3, 5, 7 going up, it would work, but it would sound very simple. It would sound like this. Now, we have the 1, 3, the 5, and the 7. A really good drill to make your lines more interesting is to play them in a different order. So instead of going 1, 3, 5, 7, you can go 1, 5, 3, 7. So 1, 5, 3, 7. So you should practice that as well. So you should go 1, 3, 5, 7. My bad. Likewise, you can go 1, 7, 3, 5 or 1, 7, 5, 3. So now that you have these tools, you can start making your own bass lines with relatively interesting shape, I guess. So it will sound like this. Now that we have the 1, 3, the 5, and the 7, we can use other chord tones such as the 2nd, the 4th, the 6th as well. Now if you see that, if you piece all these chord tones together, you get something that sounds like a scale. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a root again. So it's kind of like a major scale, except the major 7th becomes a flat 7th. So this scale that we have now is actually called the Mixolydian scale. So when you're making your lines, you can think, okay, I'm thinking chord tones 1, 3, 5, 7, you know, or I'm thinking scale, I'm thinking Mixolydian scale. So if I were to make a line off that, it would sound something like this. So now that we have more or less a couple tools to make lines, we can start making them no matter what changes that we're faced with. Now this is in the case of seventh chords, you know. We could have major seventh chords. So if I were to have B flat major 7, very similar approach, you know. If I were to do 1 3 5 7, you know, 1 3 5, and then major 7 root, etc. This is basically the basis to make any introductory bass line.